He applied to 100 jobs, 0 replies, not even a no. Let me tell you about Sam. 6 months ago, Sam walked out of his university gate for the last time, holding his degree in his hand. He stopped, looked back at the building, and smiled. He felt proud, and he had every right to. 4 years, hundreds of classes, endless exams, late nights that turned into early mornings, group projects with people who never showed up, assignments finished at 3 a.m. with cold coffee and a tired brain, money his family didn't really have, spent so he could sit in those classrooms. He had sacrificed a lot to reach this moment, and standing there, degree in hand, he thought to himself, now it's my turn. I did everything they told me to do. I studied hard. I got the degree. Now the world will finally give me a chance. That was the deal, right? Work hard, earn the paper, and the door opens. Hey, welcome to SHADHINPATH, where we keep tech and career advice honest, simple, and practical. No hype, no fairy tales, just real talk. Now, this may sound like Sam's story, but honestly, it could be anyone's story. It might even be yours. So stay with me, because there's a real lesson at the end that could change how you look at your entire job search. Sam went home that day full of energy. He opened his laptop, polished his resume, picked a clean font, wrote a nice cover letter, and started applying. Job number 1, send. Job number 10, send. Job number 20, send. Same resume, same cover letter, same hope, copied and pasted into every box. And then the waiting began. Every single morning, before he even got out of bed, before he brushed his teeth, before he said a word to anyone, he grabbed his phone and checked his email. Refresh, nothing. Refresh again, still nothing. Then he would open LinkedIn, and there they were. Post after post from people he graduated with. Excited to announce I've started my new role. Thrilled to join this amazing team. Dream come true. And Sam would look at those posts and force a small smile. He was happy for them, he really was. But somewhere deep inside, quietly, it hurt. Because he kept thinking, why them? Why not me? We studied the same thing. We sat in the same rooms. What do they have that I don't? A few weeks passed, and then, finally, the emails started arriving. But they weren't the ones he was hoping for. Thank you for applying. After careful consideration, we've decided to move forward with other candidates. We were impressed by your background. However, we're looking for someone with more experience. More experience. That one line confused him more than anything else. Enough experience? He had just graduated. That was the whole point. How are you supposed to get experience if every single entry-level job already demands experience before they'll even talk to you? It felt like standing in front of a locked door, banging on it, needing to get in, and being told the key is inside. Now this is the moment where most people quietly give up. Not in a dramatic way. They don't announce it. They just slow down. They apply a little less. They start telling themselves, maybe this field isn't for me. Maybe I'll figure something out later. And that's completely understandable. When you knock 100 times and nobody opens the door, giving up feels logical. But Sam did one small thing differently. And it didn't cost him money. It didn't require connections. It just required a different way of thinking. One night, instead of sending application 101, he sat back and asked himself a painful, honest question. What am I actually showing these companies? Not telling, showing. He looked at his resume again, this time like a stranger would. It said he studied certain subjects. His degree said he completed a program. His cover letter said he was hardworking, passionate, and a fast learner. But then it hit him. Every single applicant says that. Hardworking, passionate, fast learner, team player. Those words had lost all meaning because everyone used them. Where was the actual proof that he could sit down and solve a real problem? There wasn't any. And that one realization changed the entire game for him. Let me explain it the way Sam finally understood it. Imagine 2 cooks apply for the same job at a restaurant. The first cook says, "Trust me, I'm passionate. I have a certificate. I'm a fast learner. Just give me a chance." The second cook quietly places a plate on the table and says, "Here's a dish I made this morning. Taste it. Now be honest. Who is easier to trust? The The one who only talks about their skill, or the one who lets you taste the proof? Almost every time, we trust the plate. We trust what we can see. And Sam realized something uncomfortable. For 6 months, he had been the first cook, holding a certificate saying, "Trust me," while 100 other people held up the exact same certificate and said the exact same thing. Employers weren't asking for more promises. They were quietly asking, "Can you actually do the work? Show me." So Sam changed his strategy completely. He didn't stop applying forever, but for a little while he paused the spray and pray approach. Instead of firing the same resume at 300 random companies, he picked just 5. 5 companies he genuinely liked and actually wanted to work for. Then he did something almost nobody does. He studied them. He read their website properly. He used their app like a real customer. He looked closely at the exact job they were hiring for. And with each one, he asked, "What is one small problem here that I can understand and show a solution for?" Now here's the important part, because I don't want you to misunderstand this. He was not offering to work for free. He was not doing some huge unpaid project for a company that hadn't hired him. That's not the goal, and you should never let anyone exploit your time. He was creating a small proof of work sample, something tiny, something that showed how he thinks. For one company, he took one messy section of their website and redesigned it to be cleaner, just a mock-up. For another, he noticed their sign-up process was confusing, so he wrote a short one-page explanation of how he'd improve it. For a third, he built a tiny demo project related to the role. Nothing fancy, just enough to say, "I understand what you need, and here's a small piece of it." Then he sent a simple, honest message. No begging. Just something like this: "Hi, I really like what your company is doing. While looking at your product, I noticed one small area, and I put together a quick sample for it. I'm still learning, but I wanted to show how I think and approach problems. Hope you find it useful either way." And at the same time, he started doing one more thing. He began posting his work online, in the open, where anyone could see it. Not perfect, award-winning projects, simple ones, honest ones. Every week, just one small thing. "Here's what I built. Here's the problem. Here's how I solved it. Here's what I learned." At first, nothing happened. No likes, no comments, no magic moment. It felt like shouting into an empty room, but something inside Sam had already shifted. He was no longer sitting in the dark waiting for a stranger to give him permission to matter. He was building proof, quietly, consistently, brick by brick. And that changes a person even before the results show up. Then one day, an email came. Sam almost didn't open it right away. He was so used to rejections that his hand hovered over the screen for a second, bracing for the same old words. But this email was different. It was from one of the 5 companies he had reached out to, the ones he had studied, the ones he had sent a small sample to. The manager wrote, "Hey Sam, we saw the sample you sent us. Honestly, most applicants just drop a resume and disappear. You actually showed us how you think and how you'd solve a real problem. That stood out. Can we hop on a call?" Sam read it 3 times just to make sure it was real. 1 week later, he was in the interview, and this time, something felt completely different. In every past interview, Sam had nothing to hold on to. He would just repeat the same tired lines. "I'm hardworking. I'm passionate. I'm a fast learner." Words, just words, the same words everyone says. But this time, he had something to point to, a project, a sample, a real example of his thinking, sitting right there on the table. When they asked, "How would you approach this kind of problem?" he didn't have to imagine an answer. He could say, "Actually, I already tried something similar. Let me walk you through it." The whole conversation changed. It wasn't him begging for a chance anymore. It was 2 people talking about work he had already started doing. A few days later, the email he had waited 6 months for finally arrived. An offer. His first real job. Not because his resume was perfect. Not because his degree was from a famous university. Not because he got lucky on application number 200. But because he stopped only saying, "I can do it," and started showing, "Here is how I think." And that right there is the whole lesson. So listen closely, because this is the part I really want you to take with you. Sam did not get hired because he was the smartest person in the world. There were probably 100 applicants with better grades and fancier resumes. He got hired because he became the one candidate who offered proof instead of promises. Nobody hires a promise. Everybody hires proof. Say that to yourself again. Nobody hires a promise. Everybody hires proof. So here's what this means for you right now, today. If you are sending application after application into silence and hearing nothing back, please don't immediately decide that you're not good enough. Maybe you are good enough. Maybe your strategy is just outdated. Now, don't get me wrong. Your resume still matters. Your degree still matters. Keep doing them. But in today's job market, where hundreds of people apply with nearly identical resumes, proof is what makes you impossible to ignore. So start small. You don't need to build something huge. Pick one role you actually want. Look closely at the skills they're asking for. Then build one small project around that skill. Just one. Write down what you did, what went wrong, and what you learned. Post it publicly. And when you apply, don't just send a resume. Send a small piece of proof along with it. Do that, and something powerful happens. You stop being just another name in a pile of 500 resumes. You become the person they actually remember. And honestly, that might be the entire difference between being ignored for 6 months and getting the reply that changes your life. Sam was one person in one dark room, feeling completely stuck. The only thing he changed was this. He stopped asking to be chosen and started showing why he should be. You can do the exact same thing, starting today. If this story gave you even a little hope, do me one favor and subscribe to SHADHINPATH. Because here, we don't just talk about careers in theory, we talk about how to actually move forward, one honest step at a time. I'll see you in the next one.